Right, John. Well, thanks for bringing your bike along.
That's all right.
This is when I originally saw this, I thought this is kind of where it should be. This is what they should be looking like because of how detailed and professional that you've done it. So you know, all the small things to me, you know, like the coating on the calipers and the fork legs, and you know, yokes and things like that, all and sundry type stuff, which tends to get missed. And the fact that all the bolts are pretty much uniform.
Yes, yeah. Well, everything was brand new, really, that went on it or got plated.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What I can't stand is when you see a bike which is half done and then they've used a rusty bolt and you think, why?
Yeah.
What was that about? This is Barry. This is Barry Owen's bike, a bloke who I coached quite a few years ago now. I thought he'd passed away. So I thought an homage to Barry would be to. I asked Rick, his son, and he said it was okay, is to take Barry's bike, do a conversion to basically get it to something like, I don't think I'll quite get it to the standard of John's bike, but get it to a good standard, have a few outings on the bike, hopefully don't embarrass myself, create a bit of a media storm, that'd be good, and have some fun. So this is what is this, John? This is a 500S, isn't it?
Yeah, because it's the fared model.
Yeah.
With like the bikini fairing on it.
So of course that'll have to come off.
Yes. Yeah.
So run through sort of what I will have to do from a basic point of view. Obviously you can go into finite detail, but cover the things that need to be done.
Well, like I say, I went on the racing group, and I'm not somebody that builds bikes or is an expert in them. But one of the brilliant things about these is there's lots of people making almost like kits. They're making all the bits in the garage, and you can buy them pretty reasonably compared to a more expensive bike.
Yeah.
So mine's got what I think pretty much everyone else has got. It's got a racing loom, so it's just trimmed down.
Wiring loom, yeah.
Yes, yeah. It's got obviously no ignition key. It just runs off the kill switch.
And you run a total loss, or?
No, you're not allowed to change any of that. Yeah, it's just got a standard charging system on it.
Okay.
And like I say, the ignition, you don't have the key, so it just works off the kill switch, and then it all comes live.
Yeah.
The chap that did mine, who's a chap called Grant, who does, his company's called HWW Racing.
Right.
A lot of the stuff on this bike's his, so it's his wiring loom, and I sent him the Acewell dash, and he wired that in, so it works with the loom.
So it's really nice and clean under here, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, it's just simple.
Yeah.
He does a battery box as well.
Because has all the plastics gone from under here?
Yeah, absolutely everything. So it's Grant's battery box, which is this part. Your battery goes in here,
right? And
then there's that sort of shields the water, and your ECU, I suppose you'd call it. You can mount on the other side of there. So it just keeps everything really tidy. So there's no wiring here
exposed,
apart from the rain light, which again is part of his kit. And the rain light, he wires it, so it works off your standard switch gear.
Oh, right.
For your lights.
So that's a standard CB500 switch.
Yep. I think from what I read, with like no limits and things like that, everyone has to run the standard switch gear, so you can't put a quick action throttle on or anything like that.
I was thinking about whether that was an option or not.
I think some clubs you can. Like I say, I'm no expert. I've only done one meeting on it.
Yeah.
So
the basics, you put a filter on just because of older tanks and just from a safety point of view.
Yep.
So that's a fuel filter.
Fuel filter. There's like a sprocket cover and a gear support. That's all one piece.
Oh, that's a gear lever support. That's handy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Who's doing that?
A chap called, I forget his name, but he was called Sunset Moto, his company.
Right.
But he's only in Derby, like, a few minutes from where we are now. But I think he just did like a limited batch.
Right.
But you can get them from other people as well.
Okay.
And then it's rear sets from Grant again.
Right. Is this HWW?
Yep.
That's
Yep.
this Grant dog. And he did the exhaust as well?
He did the headers, and it's his exhaust can as well.
Right.
So I spent a fair bit of money with him, really.
Of course, yeah.
Trying to think what else.
But there's no huge, big chunks of money like you're buying a Olin's TTX shock or anything like that.
No. I mean, I think you have to run either the Hagons or the YSS, and they're sort of 150 odd quid.
Yeah.
You're only allowed stock forks, or I think 1 or 2 manufacturers' replacement springs.
Right.
So again, other than that and your oil, you're not going to spend more than 100 quid on your forks.
No.
And that's it. So you can't change any of that.
No. And you have to run standard caliper.
Standard caliper.
Standard master cylinder.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's worthwhile getting probably one of those in stock, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
They're just what everyone seems to run. I mean, I'm quite tall. I'm 6'4", so having wide bars
It's handy for you.
just feels comfortable. It's nice having the room.
They always flat bars for me. I've always struggled with them. I always find it, unless you're quite big and rangy, it restricts how you move around the bike, because the distance from the left-hand handlebar to you hanging off on the right, it basically keeps your top half of your body on the bike. I'm never a big fan of them. So my preference is going to be slightly narrower ones, pullback, probably with a bit of a raise.
Yeah.
Because I can't get down, I can't look up anyway. So
No.
yeah, the standard bars, like probably Barry's bars are almost certainly probably what I'm going to end up using. I've already decided in many ways. You see, your bike is as good as it can be practically. That's kind of for me would be the aim of what people should aspire to get in the bikes towards. Where there'll be a lot of people who will be doing it on less of a budget. Not that you've blown the budget, but less of a budget. So the Barry scenario might be a case of making it more clubman orientated, in the sense that do the sort of the minimum to get it through to where it needs to be, and then with the look at maybe later on, doing something else with it as such. Well, yeah, to do a top end strip, I thought about this, and to get, say, if we wanted to re-ring it for argument's sake, it's a pretty big job on this, because obviously it's crank out, because you've got to drop the pistons through the bottom to get them out. Where if it was a separate barrel, you could take head and barrel us off, and it's a sort of a simpler job. So whether I go down that route or go to that expense, but you think probably it'll be all right.
I'm no expert on engines, like I say, but I think if you stick it on a dyno, I think that'll tell you.
It'll surprise you.
I think it'll be fine. Yeah.
But I certainly think that the top end, I think, is probably worth freshening up, and then you can sort of lap it down without cheating. I'm assuming they basically measured this gap here.
Yeah, I think so.
34, I think. Yeah, 34,747. So you reckon also to the components which will be pulled off, things like your fairing, side panels, rack, are all very saleable items?
Some are. I think the trouble is, from what I got, a lot of people have got a lot of these bits in the garage, because most of them have been stripped and turned to track bikes. But like I say, I sold the road panels off mine. I sold the road seat. You've got a luggage rack, which will make some money. It's just those little things. Nothing's worth a lot of money,
big money, yeah.
But it all adds up.
Accumulative, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I was very lucky that, like I say, this is only the first. It's the only bike I've ever built.
Right.
But I was very lucky that I saw people popping up asking for things on Facebook, and then I could just say, I've got this, and often it's just the opportunity of being there when somebody wants something, isn't it?
So what would you recommend would be a way to gain information is to just basically hook into various forums?
Yeah, the people on Facebook are fantastic on all the race groups, but there are, like I say, there'll be people on the internet that know a lot more than me.
So the expansion tank, which is currently here, why is that moved?
I think it's just easier to get to and top everything up, and it's less pipes as well. You know,
Right.
you don't need a pipe running all the way to the back of the bike and
It's a
getting
short
around
one,
everything.
Do you run an expansion?
Yeah, it's round on the side of the,
But
just
it-
tied
yeah,
onto
just
the
a
side of the
little bottle.
bike. Yeah, yeah, just a little bottle, because you've got your thermostat housing under your tank,
Right.
and then
And the thermostat, you run one of them as well?
I took it out and
right.
just left the housing. Yeah, but the thing to the tank, the pipe to the tank, comes off of there, so it's a very simple straight run down to a bit on the side of the radiator.
And you've taken the fan off yours as well?
Yes,
Right.
yeah.
So there's an element of weight saving, and not really, you're not commuting through heavy traffic, are you? I suppose you don't need it. You know?
No, it was all just a case of make it as simple as possible.
Yeah.
And I just looked at what the other people who race them and built them did. So if you don't see a fan on any of their bikes,
No.
so I thought, well, I don't need one on mine. Mine has got a sensor, so I can keep an eye on the coolant temperature.
Oh, and that's on your dash?
Yeah, yeah. Acewell do a kit that links to their dash, so it's just an extra sensor for about 12 quid, and that'll screw into the housing. It's just helpful if you're on like a track day and you know you're sitting in pit lane or you've pulled in and you're queuing up to go back out again. It's just nice to know the temperature when you've not got a fan.
So certainly I'm going to be picking your brains, because I've always thought when you're doing something like this, that unless you've got something completely radical to try, there's not much point often in trying to reinvent the wheel.
No.
So go with the flow and you'll be kind of there or thereabouts.
Well, like I say, I'd never built a bike before, and there's so many people doing the same thing or very similar to the same rules.
Yeah. That's just follow that.
Yeah.
Follow the trail.
And just follow that.
And all the hoses are all available as kits.
Yeah. Most of my stuff came from a website called SF Parts, which is where everyone on the groups recommends to go. So all your sort of consumables like your hoses, clips, things like that, they were all from there, and they're all very reasonable price. I think a swing arm bearing kit was like 25 quid. You know, and head bearings were 20 odd quid.
Are they a needle bearing or
They're a
just bushes?
needle bearing on one side, and then like there's two like ball bearings on the other side.
All right. So that's probably worth doing, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
So I think the starting point really, apart from pulling it into a million pieces, is, well, that to start with, is start from the frame upwards.
Yeah.
And you have to leave the subframe as standard, don't you?
I think you do. I think there's some debate, but I left mine as standard.
Yeah, because that goes quite a long way back, isn't it?
It does, does. And I think there's an argument between people about how much weight it saves, cutting it off.
Yeah.
But I think the no limits regulations do say it should be uncut.
So leave the frame as stuff. But you can cut like external lugs off, like your side stand.
Yeah.
Things like that. The footrest hangers go from the same place, don't they? So
Yes, yeah. They screw on the exact same bolt on the exact same place.
Right.
And there's even a video on Facebook on the racing groups from one of the guys who does it at a high level, and he's saying what you need to cut off the frame step by step.
Oh, right.
So, yeah, the resources are they're just there to view online.
Yeah. I think I'll probably end up regretting it, but along the line I'll probably have a lot of fun in the same breath.
Yeah. You'll be glad you did it. Just don't look at all the invoices.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Or tell yourself how much more it would have cost you doing it on a different bike.
If you have an S1000, you barrel roll that through the gravel.
Exactly.
It's going to be triple the price of doing that.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Oh yeah, realistically.
And I told myself when I did mine, a lot of it's sort of consumables, so everywhere had new bearings and things like that, so when mine was done it was almost a completely new bike.
Right.
And then the cost becomes a lot more swallowable.
Yeah.
You know, when you think everything on it's...
Yeah, already new to start off with, yeah. Yeah, it is ultimately being given away to somebody who's going to help us out. But it's interesting you say that, you know, the limited things that you can do, and more importantly the things that you can't do, help to keep that price down.
Yeah, definitely. definitely. And the fact that spares are very, very cheap as well,
Yeah.
and widely available on Facebook. You can spend a lot of time making it tidy, can't you,
Yeah.
without spending any money.
Without spending any money, yeah.